This is not communication. It's communion. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. That will change you. It changed me.
Lost in between two worlds and two dreams.
This was something that I kept buried for years. Strange things would happen. I didn't want anything to do with it anymore.
He came at me, and I fought for my life.
Ships started to pop up in the sky.
And there's this bizarre disk of light. It is moving across the sky very fast.
The experience is often very terrifying.
If I felt fear, I would crawl under my covers, hoping that it would go away, whatever it was.
I know that we were put in that craft.
I knew I was going to go to another planet.
And the being was right next to my face.
He saw two shadow beings. That's when I felt like I was going to die.
I had a real encounter with something. Even if I had to live with the fear, is to know the truth, is to know.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode on Angela Petina Presents. Now I have a special guest from California, Debz Shakti. She's specialized to build people's unlimited capabilities and infinite possibilities. She specializes in quantum hypnosis. Let's learn more about her and also her recent documentary about the alien abductions answer. All right, so thanks Debz for being on my show. It's an honor to have you. And how are you? How you been? Are you ready for the 4th of July to celebrate with your family?
Oh, well, we'll see. Most of them are off doing other things. And I think maybe my husband and I and the dogs will just try to chill on that day. We've just been working so much and it's just been crazy. So it'll be Independence Day for us just to relax.
Exactly.
Relaxation. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm an outdoors girl. I go outside all the time, but in nature, I don't, when things get really iffy like that, I don't go to all the stores and everything. That's okay.
So I feel very glad to start learning about the quantum hypnosis. And I was reading that you did this about 40 years. And can you tell us what is, because to be honest with you, I just read just the basic information about the quantum conscience, but most of the audience of my show are more in the film industry. People are actresses and actors, musicians, and also entrepreneurs and persons. There are different skills, but in the basic definition for people like me and rest of the audience, what is the quantum conscience means?
Quantum consciousness.
Yes.
To me, how I define it is the universe is a quantum universe. It is not a singular universe. It's infinite universes. Quantum physics tells us there are infinite universes. There are infinite versions of our galaxy. There are infinite versions of our solar system. There are infinite versions of Earth. And on each one of those, there's at least one, if not more, or maybe infinite versions of each of us. And so it is just, it's like a
parallel world,
yes,
something like, yes,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. But how I explain it is, pretend you're in a giant room with millions of TV screens, okay? And attached to each one of those TV screens is a DVD player with a different movie in them.
Mhm.
Some of those movies might be really similar with similar characters,
Exactly.
but they're all on pause except for one. And that one that you're looking at is the reality that you call your reality, like this one. But it is not the only one. There are infinite, the universe is infinite. And quantum consciousness, if you will, is the mind that carries all of that information. Some people call it the divine, God, the Akashic records, Hall of Records, whatever you want to call it. There is an archive, but it is a living archive of all experiences that ever have been, will be, or are, which they all are right now. There is no past, no present. They all exist right now. So again, go to that room with all those millions of TVs with the movies on pause, except for the one that you're looking at. And let's say you start to have an awakening that this movie is just not, it's boring or it's low vibrational. It's just not it's not holding your interest. There's something more. So you put that movie on pause and you go over to maybe this TV set over here and hit play, and it's playing a different movie. It might be similar to this one, but it's a little bit more exciting or a little bit more beautiful, and all of them have you as the main character. So maybe this time in this one, this main character is doing something really fun or really exciting. So you watch that one. All of these other ones are on pause. It doesn't mean that those movies don't exist anymore. It just means that they are in a state of what we call probability. You can always go back to them and look at them. You can access, you can fast forward, you can go, rewind, but they're all part of the quantum consciousness, the quantum mind. And you are the star of all of them. You are in all of those lives. So, and it's hard to get your mind around that at first, because we're so used to seeing time as linear. Even if people are awake enough to the fact that there is reincarnation where you have more than one life, they usually look at it as, here's a life and you do things and you pass away, and then you come into the next life and you learn a little bit more and so forth, like a linear thing. But that is not true. You're doing all of them all at once, forever, together. And you can access them by focusing on them. So when we do quantum hypnosis, what we do is we get into a specific brainwave state. It's called the theta state. And I guide the client to get into that state. We do some special practices together first. They come from ancient yogic practices, most of them meditation practices, breath work, some sound technology and stuff. I think they're pre-yogic. I think they're more ancient than that. But we do that, and that helps to align our energy systems, and it helps to awaken the pineal gland, which is in the top of your head, a little tiny gland that most spiritual cultures call the third eye. I call it the cosmic satellite dish because when you activate it, it opens up and you can tune into any one of those movies, if you will, or frequencies. We talk about it as frequency. So in quantum hypnosis, when someone comes to me and says, we'll take something simple. I had a trauma when I was a child and I can't let go of it. I've tried everything. It's ruined my life, but I don't remember all of it. I want to heal from this. We will go into maybe looking at that life, that childhood, and what really happened. You can access any point of your experience in any of those lives, not just this one, very easily. It's just like tuning in a radio station. Often they'll think what the trauma started as happened in this life, and sometimes it did, but often all this other information from what you call parallel or alternate lives starts coming in, and the information is so incredible, and it's so clarifying and specific for what they're needing to heal, and the healing happens. Because when you look at it, it kind of takes the active power away from it, you know, the trauma away from it. It explains things. So that's kind of what we do. We go in and look at maybe other parts of this life, or other lives, other realities, but we always go during the session to the higher self, which is quantum consciousness or the divine. It has all the information, it has all of the wisdom. And towards the end of the session, then we'll talk to it, and we'll ask, why were they shown what they were shown? What does it all mean? How is the healing going to happen? And so forth. And that's when the real interesting information comes out.
And you do these therapies through online, so people they can do through Zoom with you?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I started out just doing it locally, you know, a bazillion years ago, which is how everybody does hypnosis. But then I started getting a lot of international following for my work, because I also channel and I do energy work and so forth. And I'm very active in the ET and paranormal contact world too. So I was in all these groups, and people from Japan and Netherlands and France, they wanted to have sessions too, but couldn't afford to fly over here, fly me over there. So before Zoom happened, I started doing them over Skype, and that was a little iffy. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
As soon as Zoom came on, I think it was like maybe 5 years ago, I started using it, and everything changed. Everything.
Exactly.
So I do about 90% of my work over Zoom now.
Awesome. It's good to know about that, because most of the audience I have is from United Kingdom and Ireland, and you are in California. So if people are interested, during this interview, we're gonna explain about your not only about the spiritual experience that you have, but also martial arts. And also, I was watching some of your previous interviews, fantastic interviews from other podcast hosts. And also you mentioned that you have a clinical psychology background, which is something something taken a lot into consideration to discard, you know, some mental disease. You have that ability, and that's something fabulous.
It's a good piece of the education that I've attained in this long life. And by the way, I was born in California, but I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I live right in the center of the United States. So yeah, but it doesn't matter. I serve everybody all over the world.
All over the world.
But yeah, so cool.
Awesome. And how do you feel like having the background in clinical psychology help you? Is a strong base to help your clients, or the clients with the quantum consciousness. So do you think this is an important tool for you to help them?
Yes, I mean, you know, there is a certain structure to that work, but I came into, you know, I was very interested in hypnosis even before I, you know, graduated high school and everything, because it was so close to meditation, and I was already doing a lot of that work, yoga and meditation, and going deep in the mind. The mind was just a huge thing for me to explore. And so it was only natural to move into that field, because that is the field of the mind. But that is where I got formal education and also certification to do that therapy, to do that work. I learned from, at the time, it was at the #1 school in the nation for that work. And I worked directly with the dean of that PhD program, and, you know, helping to do research and writing books and things like that. You know, he wrote the books and the white papers, and I was the assistant. So I really am grateful for the experience and the knowledge, the intellectual knowledge about how the brain works, how the psyche works, and how humans work. But that realm is very structured. I don't know if you know that or not, but you, especially back when I first started, there were a lot of rules about what you could and couldn't do with a client, with a patient.
Yes.
And so, I have all these other gifts of channeling, of psychic ability, and the ability to work with energy to help with healing. And you can't do that in that structure. So that's when I went off and made it more broad. But I'm so grateful for that. But it does help me because
you can discard mental illness between mental illness from a spiritual.
Oh, yes.
For example, I have a question. I'm pretty sure that you faced this situation when you met someone with schizophrenia. Being as a clinical psychology, I heard cases that many times those people have psycho abilities more than mental problems. What do you think about that? It's because these people have developed some skills, but the science cannot explain.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right on point. This is, when I was a student, and I can remember the first time we took a field trip, or maybe it was doing internship work or something, to a major mental hospital in the state where I was going to school. And they took us, I guess they thought it would be trial by fire, but they took us to the wing of that hospital where people were labeled as schizophrenic. We didn't have all the sub labels of mental illness back then like we do now, but anyone who was not able to stay connected to the current reality that everybody else was collectively agreeing was the reality was labeled schizophrenic. And a lot of those people were very, they were an endangerment to others, they were an endangerment to themselves, because they just weren't connected to this reality. But as I was, we would observe, they were in rooms, and we would observe them through two-way mirrors or one-way mirrors or whatever, or television monitors. And it just struck me early on, what if that person is just tapped into another frequency, and they're more focused on that one than they are this one, and they're not really connected at all. I mean, there's so many variables over here that are different from the one we're standing in, and they look crazy, but they're really not. Maybe they are highly developed. And so it kept winding around in my mind like a snake. And it was a very unpopular thing to talk about at the time, but I have always maintained that not just, the different types of mental illness, or, dementia, Alzheimer's. I've gone through having relatives with those things. And I'm telling you, as a psychic, when I can go into here with them and visit, the weather is just fine. There is nothing wrong. It's just that we are in such different frequencies.
Yes.
And so I completely think it is very much related to what happens when people engage with ET phenomenon or paranormal phenomenon. They are so different in frequency. We may not even understand what they are, or we don't understand what we're seeing or perceiving, or what they're saying, or why they're doing what they're doing, or where they came from. They pop in and out. I think it's the same concept.
I can tell also by experience, because my grandma, she passed already, but she suffered from that disease. I call disease because in reality, to me, based what I saw from her, that she always said that she couldn't be able to see her parents, deceased parents, and people who pass. And the most important thing is, everything, the information that she received from those entities or people, dead people, happens. It was like a recognition with a with
Yeah,
the
precog. Yeah.
very accurate date,
Oh, yeah.
time, color, cities. And I start thinking that if someone have a mental ill, won't be able to will be able to have that ability to tell you exactly the exact points of the future. And
Yeah.
she was diagnosed that she had schizophrenia, and thus I started making my own research online and some books, and come up with my opinion, come up with a conclusion that in reality, like you says, maybe those people are connected with different frequency or different dimension.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. But you know, they're still inhabiting this, you know, what I call the spacesuit. We're just walking around in these little spacesuits so that we can have an experience in this environment. We are not this. This is a suit. And for some reason, they have forgotten, especially those who we call severely mentally ill, they may have even forgotten they have a suit on and they are in another dimension, another world.
Exactly.
But you know, because their physical being is here in this world, it bears responsibility on the rest of us to make sure that they're safe or that other people are safe from them, because what their spacesuit is doing may not be congruent with what is happening in society.
Yes.
You know, they might walk out in front of a car, or they might decide to blow up the house, or you know, stab a kitten just because they don't know what they're doing with this physical body. They're just not that attached to it. So, you know, so there must be a balance there. But I truly, the older I get, the more I abhor calling someone mentally ill. I try to have so much compassion and try to make some sort of a connection with them. And usually I can via psychic or telepathic or energetic stuff, but speaking to them out loud, often you can't reach them at all. You know, it's like seeing a coma patient. I have literally had lots and lots of interactions with coma patients who everyone thinks are brain dead. But again, if you go in there psychically, the weather's fine. There's still a being, and they will tell you. I have literally sat there with someone where they have told me, tell my mother that the other day when she was talking about my brother playing golf, that it made me happy, you know, just something simple like that. And I'll say, okay, even though that person has no brain wave activity or, you know, nothing active physically on their monitor. And, you know, I'd tell the mother that, and she'd break down and cry and say, he really did hear me. He's registering, he just can't interact with us from that body. So yeah, it's fascinating. You know, we're just so much more than we give ourselves credit for.
That's good. And how you develop, how you become a gift challenger, how you develop that skill.
I did not develop it. I came in with it on. And I will tell you this, I truly believe that all humans have that ability. All humans have all of these abilities, but most of them have been, their little switches have been turned to the off position to come in here and have a specific kind of experience in this human reality. However, a lot of people have been coming here a long time, millions of lifetimes, maybe even, I don't know. Let's just say 100 lifetimes. And they have pretty much gotten what they came here for, and they're starting to feel like there's more to be had. And that's how they start turning into seekers. That's how they start to wake up. And so for those people, and I get a lot of people, I can work with them and do some processes that help to turn those switches back on.
Beautiful.
And then to give them some processes about how to kind of put the training wheels on first and then work your way up, pardon me, to use them consciously and responsibly. So I have a school, it's called the Quantum Dojo, which kind of mixes this work with my past martial arts stuff, but it's just the concept. But it's been on hiatus for the last year because I'm making this movie and I just couldn't do both. But in the Quantum Dojo, we have classes about how to turn those things back on and enhance the ability and so forth.
And but that discipline dojo, right? Dojo, that's the name.
Dojo, yeah.
Dojo. It's a Japanese term. It's a Japanese.
Yeah, it's a Japanese term for training hall.
For training.
For school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you when you do Japanese martial arts, you go to a dojo. Yeah. When you go to practice yoga, you usually go to an ashram or a studio. So it just means school.
Yes.
So,
and there's a program that also is going to be online, so people don't have to be physically with you. That's good.
No, it used to be physical, just local here in Kansas City, and now it's online. And what's interesting, for what I love about this is, as you know, with Zoom, you can record everything. Yes. And so I have, I don't know, maybe 100 classes that are recorded that people can, ask for now. And, for a very small fee, I'll send them the recording of the classes that we have of, whatever they want. I have a whole catalog while we're on hiatus, but I keep them all in an archive. So it's like a library. So people can take them when we don't have the school going on. There is a lot there already, but yeah, I'm excited about getting it started. I actually just retired this week from my corporate career. I've always maintained a corporate career as well in business. And it was, it's just time. It's time to focus solely on this work. And it was just turned into a lot to juggle. So now I'm excited about doing more.
That's beautiful, beautiful. And I like to, before going to the film, the amazing documentary, I want to ask you a few questions before, because I want people to know better who you are, and also that your website is going to be at the end of the video, so people, they can start making notes. And also this one is going to be on Red Illuminate, based in United Kingdom. And I like to ask you all these things because, like you says, now it's easier for anyone have the opportunity to learn about these disciplines to improve ourselves, spirituality, also as a personal interpersonal life. But now, now it's easier through online, because I can imagine the first question pop in people's minds is, do I have to go in person? So I like to ask you through online, so people they can be able to be aware. And also, I was reading in your biography, was very beautiful. All the skills and all the experience you had done in your life. And you mentioned the STAR teachers. Who are they?
Oh, yes. The STAR teachers are, I found out, maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, that they've always been with me. They're kind of, how a person will say my guides, or my guardian angel or my guides. They are my main guidance group, but I always just thought it was, just information coming from whatever. But they showed up in one of my energy healing sessions one time physically. They physically showed up and helped me with a very tough case. And after that, it was miraculous. I won't take the time to tell the story. I've told a million times, but let's just be honest. The lady was sent home to die. They had done everything they could do for her cancer. And she didn't even believe in any of this work, but her relative bought her a gift certificate to come and have an energy healing and channeling. And so she just did it. And by the end of the session, she she literally saw them too and experienced what they helped me do for her. Actually, what she did for herself, we were just facilitating. And it was magnificent. And she was healed. She was healed. And when she went back for her follow-up, a few weeks later, there was no cancer in her body, and she went on, she's still alive. But from that session on, where I physically saw them in my office, they were always around. They were just constantly talking, and they said, you have to start holding events where the public can ask us questions. We're here to tell you things. And they said that they're a group entity of highly advanced, what we would call extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings. They're a group entity. They all still are individuals and have their individual gifts, but they work as a collaborative group. And they are in contact with us now because they say they are us on a higher frequency. And their message to us is, you do succeed. You succeed in getting past this reality where we are focused on now, that's kind of dense and slow moving, and it's a polarized existence, right? We have duality, we have negativity, and what we would perceive as evil. But they say most of creation isn't like that. This is just a specific construct that we made for ourselves to have, experiences, and we're almost all of us are about done with it. So they came in to start assisting us with some clues about who we really are and how we get there. And they say this particular life reality, this particular incarnation right now that you and I are focusing on, is the one where the human species starts to do that. They don't give a ton of specifics about, how that happens, but they have said that we have to overcome our fear, and we have to overcome our differences and start working harmoniously together, or that it just puts it off. But that we do that. We do hit, they say we hit escape velocity and move up to the next frequency in our focus. And then this one gets put on pause, So, but they say they're us. For some people who don't understand the quantum nature of life, we might say they're us in the future. Okay, but they're
like
existing now, just
beings,
like we are.
It's a human beings, but an advanced level.
Civilization. And the reason why they say that they are ET interdimensional is because that they say we are their future ancestors, that this lifetime right now, we do some things that catapults humanity into a more harmonious existence here on planet Earth. But then because of that, we gain more knowledge and we start to go out and do space travel, like for real, going to other planets and other solar systems and other galaxies, and eventually go into interdimensional travel. And by that time, we're no longer really associated with Earth. We're not Earthlings anymore, but we came from you and I here right now. They have said that because people are conscious constantly, when I do these mass events where they interact with the public, they are constantly saying that, or people are constantly asking, well, what about all of the horrible stuff that's happening in the world right now? That doesn't match what you're saying, that we, ascend, where it looks like everything's going downhill. And they say it takes something getting this close to us all blowing ourselves up before we have that awakening. And we wake up and say, oh my gosh, what were we thinking? You're my brother, you're my sister, you're a piece of my own heart.
Yes.
Let's figure this out. And we do. And they say we do. That is the biggest message, that we succeed in ascending.
So do you think it's gonna take too long? Or you say we were very close, but like it's gonna take years, or because there's some astrologists and spiritual people they are focusing this year no later than next year. What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
No, they say this, I don't know about the year, but they say this lifetime that you and I are focused on right now, this is the one. So, you know, I'm 66. I don't know how much longer I'm going to live, if I live 40 years or 50 years or 10 years, but I will see this happen in this lifetime. Everyone who is on the planet right now will see it happen in their lifetime. So it's very soon, you know, it's very soon, which then the advice that they give us is to consciously make that leap as comfortably as possible. It's time to get busy now and clean up your own inner life, your own way of living. So that means becoming more spiritually active, being more introspective, meditating more, cleaning up your own life and your own head trash, and taking out all of the trash of the things that are not congruent with the kind of life that you want to be. You know, stop focusing on the news, stop focusing on everybody who's arguing. Don't argue with people, love them no matter who they are, what they are. And that's hard. Forgiveness, love unconditionally, express gratitude for everything, because everything is part of the lesson, and keep focusing on what it is you do want, how you want that life to be lived. And then also, you know, you start from you and then you work your way out. You then start to do more positive things within your own home, your own family, your own neighborhood, your own community, your own, you know, and you work your way out. That's how you change the world. You don't change it, you know, you can change it. You could be a Gandhi, for instance, or a Martin Luther King Jr., or a Jesus or a Buddha, and make revolutionary changes. But real lasting change comes from each individual in their own heart and soul first. And they're saying that's how we do it. Yeah.
Yes, so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And
You're
now
welcome.
the big project I watched 3 times.
Oh my
Alien
goodness.
Abduction Answers documentary, and looking forward how the physical copy.
Oh
And
my goodness.
I have the honor to interview the film director John Just. Beautiful
Oh
person.
yes.
Yes.
Isn't he the most wonderful person?
Yes, yes. And I had the opportunity to learn about you watching the documentary and all that you have done and with him on this feature film. And strongly recommend where you can find in Amazon and you can order the physical copy. So I always recommend people. I like to have both. I have the digital, and I like to have the physical. And how was your experience working with him, with John Just?
Oh my goodness. Well, life changing for one thing. You know, we met by chance, and it wasn't about this. It was about something else, another project that a friend had recommended me for. And, you know, his soul just reached out to me during that meeting. We were talking about nothing of the kind, but his soul reached out and said, there's something here that needs help. And so, you know, after the meeting, I thought he was a lovely person. I just really enjoyed talking to him, and so smart. Oh my gosh, he's so well educated and just a very worldly smart man. But after the meeting, the teachers kept coming in my head saying, you have to contact him and offer him a session. He needs help. He's screaming for help and he doesn't know what to do. And I thought, oh no, he doesn't know me at all. All I have is an email address. he's going to think I'm a crazy cuckoo person. He's a, film person. I'm like, he probably gets 1,000 messages like that a day. People want to do stuff with him. And I resisted it for a couple days. I'm like, no, I don't do that. They come to me. I don't do that. And finally, in my meditation one morning, they said, this is one of the most important things you will ever do if you really mean what you say. And what they meant was, decades ago, I just kind of reached out to God, the divine, quantum consciousness, and said, use me. I want to be of service. I will do whatever it is you ask to my best ability. And they said, if you really mean that, you will do as we ask and contact him and offer him this session. So I did. I just swallowed my pride because I knew he'd probably reject it or never read it or whatever, but I did. And I just sent it off with a lot of love. And right away, he contacted me and he said, you saw me. How did you know? There's stuff that I'm suffering from. But he's like, I'm scared. And he, he's a big burly guy. He's like, and I'm pretty sure I can't be hypnotized. And, they always say that for some reason.
He told me that. He told me, no, she won. No. And then, yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was so amazing. And I love people like that because usually they're the ones who go deep super fast. I don't even have to really do a lot with them. And he did. But anyway, that's how we met. And he told me what he knew of his story. And that was compelling enough. And I said, let's do this. But he was really pretty afraid. And so it took probably a year and a half of doing little things together and gaining trust and having little adventures that were more safe with the hypnosis and with channeling and things. And then one day he just called me out of the blue and he said, Debz, I'm ready to do the big one. He called it the big one, the one where he actually was going to go in and see that situation that terrified him from when he was a little boy. And I said, great, let's set up a Zoom and everything. It's like, now, I feel like it needs to be filmed and it needs to be in person. And all this was happening during the pandemic, and he was in Pittsburgh, hundreds of miles away, and I was here. And yet they kept saying, don't resist. Everything's going to be supported. So just say yes. Just keep saying yes. So I said, okay. And it all worked out. And we started filming, I think it was in early February of 2020. Was that it? 2021. And we filmed it at his studio raw, just live raw. It took about 6 hours. It was the most phenomenal session I think I've ever been in. I mean, literally. And it was after that session, he realized, he's like, oh, there's so much more here than just me. And that's when we started talking about getting some of my other clients involved. And he also had the dream of getting Whitley Strieber involved. And all of it happened. All happened.
Yes, a documentary, I was telling him that also helps as a therapy for those people who were abducted, but don't have because it's not easy to be open and tell anyone, I was abducted. It's not easy. And I think this documentary is gonna help them to find help or cure themselves about the trauma, because if it doesn't matter, it's a good or bad experience, as long as it's not in the same how can I say frequency or the same dimension, it's traumatic.
It is. Oh yeah, there's always trauma when there's disparity between your experience of what you think is real and what isn't, or what is something other than what you think is real. It's funny because most of my career, I just handled regular everyday stuff in this therapy, and we healed from like veterans from military wars that have PTSD, or people who were molested as children, or people who have weird problems and they don't have any context of why they have an addiction or something in this life.
Exactly.
And so we would do this therapy, and maybe 1 or 2 a year might be an ET contact thing would come up, or an abduction, what you call abduction, would come up. But the last 5 or 6 years, it started getting more and more and more of those, of people just saying, look, I had some kind of an experience and I don't remember anything, and I want to find out what is bothering me. Or they were like John, who remembered part of it and it was terrifying or confusing, and they want the answer to what it was. When, as you saw in the film, when we went into the session, he thought he experienced something with Ultraman, a Japanese cartoon character, and when in fact it was a completely different being, a set of beings. And and some people, when they go in, they see themselves going to a spaceship, and with him, he went to an underground cavern, with a whole set of beings who live under the ground.
In Dr. Reynolds, do you think people from the underground, does the entities who abduct him, it's like an interterrestrials, but from the Earth. Yes,
ultra-terrestrials, or even inner Earth people. I mean, we just, and it's not, part of me likes saying inner Earth, but I don't know that it really was physical. I think that was, they often will give you, like, I've been on many ships, since I was a child. I've been on many craft, spacecraft, in these environments with these beings, because I've had lifelong contact myself from earliest memory. But did I really go to a spacecraft, or did they give me maybe a holographic environment so that I would have a context of, I think most of it is non-physical dimensions that we travel to in these,
like a
in
travel,
what you
like
would
a
call
astral, like a travel astral,
out of body.
Out of body. Yes.
Yep.
Common
Yep.
sense.
Absolutely. But I can tell you that it is connected to your body, because I've come back, even I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had marks on my hand, a set of 3 dots that made a triangle. He has that mark on his shoulder that will not go away. That is a scar. Even Whitley Strieber has marks, and people come back with implants. So I think sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's non-physical, and sometimes I think it is both.
What is the most popular part of the body they insert implants?
I don't really have an answer for that. I have experienced so many people coming with implants who have them behind the ear, or in the ear, like this little part here. Implants in the forearms, in the calf. There seem to be a lot in the calf muscle of the leg, but I've seen them everywhere. And the markings are usually in different places too.
But
It
if
just
you have
depends.
if you have in the ear, and then when the ear specialist, they start checking, they cannot find anything, but you still feel the pain. That's the symptom.
Yeah. Well, going back to Whitley Strieber, who wrote Communion and who's in the film, he had one, I think it was in this part of his ear right here. I don't know if you can see that, just up here or behind it. I can't remember, but it was very painful, and it would get hot, and it was very annoying. And he went 1 or 2 times to different doctors to have it removed. And his wife, who was still alive at the time, kept saying, I don't think you should have that removed. Please don't have them remove it. And I think the first one couldn't find it, but the second one, agreed he would go ahead and take it out. And when he went to take it out, it moved. It literally moved. And they were also shocked. And Whitley's wife, Annie, said, please don't take it out. It's important. And Whitley just said, okay, I give up. He really didn't want it in there because it was painful, and he was just mad. He didn't understand what he calls the visitors now, like he does now. He just thought they were being very intrusive, and it was mean. And he didn't want to have anything to do with that. But what he found out later, after she passed on, was that it was a piece of technology to help him communicate with her on the other side.
Oh.
And ever since her passing, they have had a conscious, out loud relationship, just, as rich as their physical marriage was. And in fact, she has helped him co-write several books since her passing. And now he says it's because of that little piece of technology that they put in there to help him. I don't know if it's still there now. I don't know if it dissolved because he doesn't need it anymore, but
maybe the pain is like the response that this dimension is not adapted to that technology, and that's the reason he was feeling pain.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Because it's like, do you remember when there was a time when Apple computers could not talk to Windows computers, right?
Yes.
Now they can, because they've done a lot of work, but they spoke two completely different languages, operating systems, and they literally, you couldn't import a file from an Apple computer to a Windows one, and it would just look like gobbledygook. That, I think, is what's happening with those implants.
That's beautiful. And your visions, what do you see about this project of Angela Petina Presents? This show is gonna be grow. What do you see about? What are you feeling about?
Oh heavens,
this show?
yes, yeah. Your work's necessary, of course. You're absolutely supported. So again, that message: stay out of fear. Like, don't be afraid that it's not going to go anywhere, or that it's going to collapse, or that people are not going to find you, or whatever. You're very, very highly attuned, attracting force. You're like a magnet. People are going to start finding out who you are more and more and more, and the show's going to get bigger. It's going to evolve to, again, your purpose is kind of like my purpose. We're here to help this process.
Exactly.
With our own gifts. Your gift is the gift of communication and research, and you do it so beautifully. So just hang in there, don't give up, and don't pay so much attention to what's happening in the reality around you. There's a great ET entity that is channeled by Daryl Anka. His name is Bashar. I don't know if you know who Bashar is, but Bashar is a great teacher as well. One of the greatest lessons I ever heard from Bashar is circumstances don't matter. Only your state of being matters. And that's what creates your material world. He says it that way. But basically the message that we're getting from all of these beings is pay more attention to your feeling state and be more conscious about perpetuating a high level feeling state of positivity, of joy, of excitement, of love, of harmony, of peace, of abundance. And that is what your material world will start to look like. But you have to feel it ahead of being able to witness it out here, because out here is the crystallization of what you are creating in here, which is much higher frequency. Right? So for Angela Lapatina, unlimited. All of us are unlimited, but we just have forgotten it. And when you can really get that feeling about being unlimited, about being able to do with full support what it is you came here to do, you really feel it, and you say thank you for it, and you feel good about it and you just start living as if it were already evident to everybody else, then it becomes evident to yourself and everybody else.
That's beautiful. Yes, and we came up, my husband and I, with this idea with inspirational purposes, because nowadays, sadly, what the television shows and all these things are focusing on something else, not to build inspirational. So
Yeah.
yes, and we want to create something like in different disciplines, but people give a message to those people who wants to start their careers in the film industry, or they want to start a career in spiritual world, and people that can share the experiences and challenges and all these things to motivate others. That's one in human connections. Yes.
Oh, it's so, and it's perfect. It's exactly what is needed. This is the advice that they're giving us is, love one another,
exactly,
be grateful for one another, and support one another, not despite your differences, but because of your differences. Everybody has a gift and they all fit together like puzzle pieces if you allow them to flow into the right place. Just as I said, the star teachers are a group entity, like a hive mind almost, but they all have, each one of them has a special gift. And without, if one of them dropped out of the group, it wouldn't work.
Exactly.
So, and they're saying that's what our species is here on the planet. And that's what all of life is on this planet. It's not just our species. We have to take care of this planet and every living thing on this planet. And when they say every living thing, they're even talking about the rocks and,
the plants
dead
and
wood
everything.
and everything is consciousness.
Wow,
Everything.
it's true. Absolutely.
Deserves respect. Yeah.
Can you tell us about, do you have any additional film projects that you're working on, or?
Well, I can say that this wasn't the only one. The idea that, John Yost has received downloads about this constantly as it started, and has been receiving much more powerful ones lately. And I can say that this isn't the only film, and this isn't the only project. Yeah.
Exactly.
As he likes to say, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. The subject matter that we covered in the first film, Alien Abduction Answers, it's just kind of the primer or the intro to what we're really going to be talking about in the next one or two films. The next, I guess I can say this because he said it on other podcasts, but the next one is going to be called Alien Abduction Awareness. And so the first film was about actually realizing it's real. The phenomenon is real, and it's happening not just to one person, but to more than likely all persons, whether they know it or not. The next film is going to take it to another place where we are talking more about the consciousness aspect of it.
Awesome, beautiful.
And where we are able to learn how to start to understand and integrate this into our lives. And then the third film, if all goes well and it doesn't morph into something else along the way, will be called Alien Abduction Ascension.
That's nice. Beautiful. And we'll be looking, I can't wait to see those films. And we'll be here. And also I will be happy to invite you, both of you, again, and provide me the updates and all these things. And you and John are invited to my show anytime. So it's a privilege and honor to have both of you. And looking forward
Thank
to
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Angela. No, we love people like you, because without you, no one would know, about it's very, very hard, as you know, the film industry or the entertainment industry as a whole is such a competitive industry, and it's so full of great artists and creators. I mean, you're just one little fish in a huge ocean of many fish, right? So how do you stand out? You do it by way of having people like you get the word out. And
Thank you so
thank
much.
you so much.
That's nice, very beautiful. And I think all these positive messages and all this to our audience will be very helpful to our friends and all these things. So thank you so much, and thank you for being on my show. It was an honor. Looking forward for future interviews, for updates.
Oh, can't wait. I have so much that I can share with you, and so much that I would like to just, explore with you yourself, Angela. Really, you're a very interesting person, and there's a lot in there that is wanting to come out. So,
thank you so much. Yes, we can make another interview. Do you want to discuss, to talk about a specific topic? We can arrange that, and we can.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. But I understand why I stayed in the corporate world for so long, because your presence, for instance, you in that school is needed for something. Maybe you're tired of doing it, or maybe you're not, but or maybe it's just necessary that you be there. But there's a deeper reason why you're still in that other part of the world. I used to say I have to keep one big toe in the outer world, so that I can empathize with people in that environment. It's super cool and fun to do all this work where I am in my dimension, but I don't want to lose touch with those real people either.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, it's pretty exciting and a little weird to finally already just be like, oh, now I'm completely free to be able to schedule so much more than I have been able to. So I'm ready.
Thank you so much, and congratulations for the success project of this documentary. It's a very Hollywood technology top level. Believe me, there's no difference. It's very well directed for the production, and you were associate producer for that one. And that's a beautiful experience, and congratulations.
Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you for your beautiful, kind words. John Yost and his team are literal creative geniuses, and they made, I think it's a beautiful film, and it's deeply moving. But just the cinematic value of that film and the way it's put together is amazing. And
it's a film that watching once is not enough. It's recommended at least 2, because for the first time, Angela, I received one message. I understood something. When I watched on the second time, the third time, I understood different things. So yes.
Yeah, and that's how it works. More unfolds every time you listen. It truly is a multidimensional film, and we purposely came into every aspect of making that film from start to finish, watching our energy, because we realize that film is going to be entangled with our energy, and we want the highest form of energy going out there to touch these people who are going to be involved in watching it. And so thank you for noticing, because that's the real message of the film is, receive this energy.
Yes, exactly. No, even when I listen my own radio shows, I like to listen myself to see I need to improve this and this and this, especially English, because this is my second language. But when I hear the trailer, I feel like I feel like I connect, and I feel like I feel high vibrate.
I know. I got chills the first time I listened to your intro. I'm like, oh, I love that person already.
Thank you so much. Absolutely. All right. Nice to meet you.
Thank
and
you.
Speak with you soon. Take
Much
care.
love. And I always end with in Lakesh, I am another you. That's a Mayan greeting. I am another you in Lakesh. Bye.
Bye. Take care.
Fooling around, bouncing round town. What trouble?